Hi, and welcome back to Before You Go Under the Knife, a Big Butts No Lies production. I'm your host, Mavi, and I'm so glad you're here. I want to start by telling you a little bit about me because I think it matters for everything that we will be talking about today. Besides that, I've had cosmetic surgery myself. I felt that mix of excitement and nervousness and hope that I know you are feeling right now. I wanted to feel good about myself and feel good in my body. And I wanted to trust the people I was putting my trust in. And then there's the other side. For 15 years, I worked as a surgery coordinator, a consultant inside plastic surgery offices. I saw how these practices run from the inside out. I sat on the other side of that desk. I learned what separates a safe experience from a dangerous one. And I learned some things along the way that I wish I could unlearn once I knew them. This series, Before You Go Under the Knife, is me finally getting to say all of it out loud. We are doing 3 episodes together. Today, episode 1, we're going to talk about how this industry got to where it is, how cosmetic surgery went from something rare and hospital-based to something you can book online on a Tuesday afternoon from a clinic next to a smoke shop. Because understanding how we got here is how you understand what to watch out for. And I want to be clear from the start. This is not a scare you away from surgery podcast. And I'm not here to talk you out of anything. I believe in your right to do whatever you want with your body. What I believe even more is your right to do it safely, with full information and with someone in your corner. So let's get into it. Where did this industry even come from? Okay, so let's go back. Because cosmetic surgery did not always look the way it looks right now. For most of the 20th century, if you wanted cosmetic surgery, you went to a hospital. You saw a board certified plastic surgeon. The procedure was expensive, it was serious, and it was nothing the average person was booking on a Friday. And then, starting in the 90s and accelerating through the 2000s, something shifted. Outpatient surgery centers started opening up. These are facilities that are not hospitals. They don't have an ICU, they don't have blood banks, but they can perform surgical procedures. And they're regulated very differently than hospitals are. Now, this is not inherently a bad thing. Outpatient centers made procedures more accessible. They lowered the costs, and for a lot of people, that access was important. It was meaningful. But here's what happened alongside that access. And this is the part that I watched from the inside. Social media changed everything. Instagram gave surgeons a platform. Before and afters went from being in a binder in a consultation to being on your phone at midnight. Followers became a form of credibility. You'd see a surgeon with 300,000 followers and think, wow, she must be incredible. He must know what he's doing. And sometimes that was true, but sometimes it was just that they knew how to do social media marketing very well. And then private equity showed up. Investment firms figured out that cosmetic surgery is a cash business. Patients pay out of pocket. There's no insurance negotiations. The margins are good. So they started buying plastic surgery practices across the country, building chains, opening locations in multiple cities with the same branding, the same website, and the same marketing, but with surgeons and staff who varied widely in their training and experience. And the market grew faster than regulation could follow. Here's something that I need you to sit with for a second because it surprised me even when I saw the data. A nationwide study found that 12% of doctors marketing themselves as cosmetic surgeons were practicing outside of their medical specialty. That's right, 12%. That's 1 in 8. And in most states in this country, including right now, today, Any licensed physician can legally offer cosmetic surgery in an office setting. A pediatrician, an ER doctor, an OBGYN, a doctor who trained in family medicine 20 years ago, they can decide tomorrow that they want to offer liposuction. Take a weekend course and they start booking patients. That is legal and it is happening. I want to give you three examples, and I'm not going to use names in this series because my goal isn't to put anyone on trial. My goal is to show you the pattern because this is bigger than any one person. Example one: a woman travels from Las Vegas to a strip mall clinic in South Los Angeles. The clinic is next to a smoke shop. Her surgeon is a pediatrician, and he has decided to expand his practice into cosmetic procedures. He operates on her despite the fact that she has uncontrolled diabetes, a condition that makes elective surgery extremely dangerous. The state medical board later calls this an extreme departure from the standard of care. She dies, and months later, his office mails her family a check for $6,500, a refund. Example 2: an ER doctor in Georgia, not a plastic surgeon, not board certified in surgery, opens a cosmetic practice and begins performing liposuction. During one procedure, her patient starts screaming that something is tearing, that it's burning. A staff member stuffs a towel in the patient's mouth so the people in the waiting room can't hear. The patient dies on the table. The medical examiner finds a perforated diaphragm and multiple puncture wounds to her liver. Example 3: a regular internal medicine doctor attends a 6-day liposuction training course and opens a clinic in Arizona. He uses a massage therapist as his surgical assistant. Within a year, 3 of his patients are dead. When his license gets restricted after the second death, he hires an unlicensed homeopath to keep performing surgeries in his office. Police eventually treat the clinic as a crime scene and find a bloody breathing tube in the trash. These are not stories from 100 years ago. These are cases from the last 20 years in the industry. And that's why I'm here. That's why this podcast exists, because those cases are not flukes. They are what happens when access outpaces accountability. Now let's talk about the boom. You know the boom nobody warned you about. And it's something that I think is genuinely underappreciated. And that's just how fast this industry grew and how that growth created specific risks. The Brazilian butt lift, or otherwise known as the BBL, became one of the fastest growing cosmetic procedures in the world through the 2010s. And I understand why. I get it. I understand the appeal. We live in a culture where a certain body shape has been elevated, celebrated, plastered across every platform. Women see it, they want it. It's human, it's real. BBLs, everybody's getting them. They go from exaggerated to not exaggerated to petite to extra, extra large. So everybody's getting them. But here's what grew alongside that demand: a discount surgery market. Clinics offering BBLs and liposuction and full makeover packages at prices that undercut traditional plastic surgery by thousands of dollars. Concentrated in Miami, Houston, Atlanta, Los Angeles, they marketed heavily on social media, made it accessible and affordable. And the patients, understandably, went where the price made sense for their budget. What they didn't always know is that what was affordable was actually funding, what it was funding. When a clinic can afford a procedure at half the price of the surgeon down the street, they're making choices to get there. Maybe the surgeon has less experience. Maybe the facility has less oversight. Maybe the post-operative care is thinner. Maybe the screening process is shorter. Something is always funding that gap. What corners are being cut in order to offer this extremely low price? I watched this industry change from the inside when private equity arrived, when the money came in. I watched the questions change. I watched what the consultation was before the change. And in a well-run practice, the consultation is a very important medical conversation. The surgeon is evaluating you as a patient, your health history, your candidacy for the procedure, your realistic expectations. It takes time. It's thorough. They're interviewing you just like you're interviewing them. In a chain practice built on volume, the consultation is increasingly a sales conversation. How many procedures can we get this patient to commit to today? What package makes financial sense? How do we close the booking before she leaves? There's one more piece of this boom I want to tell you about, and it's the piece that made me the most uncomfortable when I started really researching it. In South Florida, for a period of about 6 years, 4 convicted felons operated a network of discount surgery clinics. Not doctors, convicted felons, and because they were not physicians, the state medical board had no jurisdiction over them. So while their clinics were operating, dirty operating rooms, unqualified staff, patients being told what surgeries to get by people with zero medical credentials, the board couldn't touch them. 13 women died. 13 over 6 years before the state finally closed the loophole in 2019. 13 women, 13 moms, 13 daughters, 13 sisters, 13 friends, grandmas. Every one of them mattered. And that is the boom nobody warned us about. Let's talk about the chain surgery revolution. So I want to talk specifically about the chains because this is something I think a lot of people don't fully understand when they're researching where to have their procedure. When you see a clinic with a beautiful website, locations in 12 cities, a brand that looks polished and professional and trustworthy, that can be a great sign. Or it can be a sign that someone made a very good investment in marketing. Private equity backed cosmetic surgery chains have grown enormously in the last decade. And look, I'm not saying every chain is dangerous. I'm saying the business model of a chain creates specific pressures that you need to understand as a patient. Here's what I mean. When investors back a surgical chain, they need a return on their investment. That return comes from volume, from procedures booked and completed, from keeping costs low and output high. That is not inherently evil. That's just how investment works. But when the business that needs to be profitable is also the business of cutting into human bodies, that tension can become a real problem for the patients. Here's something that happened. A private equity backed chain hired a surgeon who had 3 prior patient deaths on his record and was about to lose his California medical license. This chain provided him legal assistance to keep that license. Then they brought him to their Atlanta office on an emergency license that had originally been issued for COVID-19 relief, and they put him in front of new patients. Those patients had no way of knowing his history, none, because the chain didn't tell them. And because the systems we have in place don't require that kind of disclosure, one patient overheard him saying in the operating room that he had left something inside of her. That something turned out to be a broken metal instrument lodged in her stomach. Another patient only found out a piece of scalpel had been left in her abdomen for more than a year when she got a chest x-ray after a car accident. And then there's one piece of the chain puzzle that I really need you to think about. It's called the arbitration clause. When you go to a chain surgery center, and honestly, a lot of independent practices do, you sign a stack of intake forms before your procedure. Somewhere in that stack, often on the page 8 10, 12, and tiny little small print is a clause that says, if anything goes wrong, you agree that you will not take this to court. You agree to go to private arbitration instead. Private arbitration means no judge, no jury, no public record. Whatever happens stays behind closed doors. Now, one chain facing 30 plus negligence cases in 5 years, including deaths. Most of those cases have never been heard in a courtroom. They go to arbitration. They are resolved privately, and the outcomes are confidential. Other patients researching that chain online will never know that those cases existed. Another chain billing itself as America's top cosmetic surgery specialist has faced 12 wrongful deaths cases over 7 years. 12. Their website doesn't even mention it. Their Instagram doesn't mention it. Their sales consultants don't mention it. But I'm mentioning it to you now because you deserve to know. Okay, this is the last segment. And I want to be honest with you about something that took me a while to fully accept. When I was working inside the offices, I believed that the system was watching. I believed that if a surgeon was truly dangerous, someone, a medical board, a licensing authority, someone would catch it and do something about it. What I know now is that the gap between a surgeon being dangerous and the system doing something about it is much, much wider than I thought. Here's one example that really got me. In one major state, the medical board is legally prohibited from disclosing when a surgeon is under investigation for a patient death. Even if 3 patients have died, even if the family has filed a complaint, even if the board is actively investigating, they cannot tell the public. What that means in practice is this: a surgeon linked to 3 deaths can continue booking new patients, continue posting on Instagram, continue collecting deposits while the families grieve and the board investigates in silence. One of those families, a daughter who lost her mother, said something that has stayed with me since I read it. She said, I just don't understand how she came back to me in a body bag. Her mother was a registered nurse. She knew how to read medical information. She knew how to evaluate risk. She chose her surgeon based on Instagram. And the thing that could have protected her, knowing that another patient had already died at that clinic, was information that she had no way to access. There are also cases where a surgeon's license gets revoked, and then they appeal, and then they win, and they go back to work. In one case in South Florida, a surgeon had failed his board exam 3 times, had already punctured one patient's liver 5 times, and perforated another patient's intestine in separate procedures on the same day. Had his license revoked, appealed it, won, went back to work, and 5 weeks later killed someone. 5 weeks. I'm not telling you that the system is broken and beyond repair. I'm telling you that the system has gaps, real ones. And until those gaps are closed, you are the last line of defense for yourself. It's not fair and it shouldn't be that way, but that's the reality that we are living in right now. And that's why I do what I do. Let's make a red flag of the episode. On today's red flag is a word, just one word, and that word is affordable. Affordable is not a medical credential. Affordable is not a safety standard. Affordable is a price point. And in cosmetic surgery, the way a clinic gets to affordable is by making choices about surgeon training, about facility quality, about post-op care, about reusing supplies, about staffing, all of these things that you might not be aware of. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to spend a fortune to be safe. There are skilled, ethical surgeons who charge fair prices. What I am telling you is that the conversation should never start with the price. It should start with who is operating on me? What are their credentials? What facility will I be operated in? What credentials does the facility have? What happens if something goes wrong? Who is putting me to sleep? Who's my anesthesiologist? Will I have an anesthesiologist? These are all important questions that you need to ask. And if a clinic leads with the price, if the first thing they tell you is how affordable they are, that is the information. Pay attention to it. Now, before I let you go, I want to tell you why I do this. Not just the podcast, all of it, all of this. I've been through surgery myself. I sat in that chair. I felt what you're feeling. And I spent 15 years on the inside learning this industry from the inside out, learning where it's brilliant and learning where it fails people. And I took all of that and I built something. I built Big Butts No Lies. I help people like you plan your surgery safely. I help you vet your surgeon. I help you evaluate your facility. I help you know what questions to ask and what answers should satisfy you. I walk alongside you so that you are going into this with full information with someone genuinely in your corner. Ultimately, I don't care who you have surgery with. I just want you to be safe. If today's episode made you think twice about something or made you want a second set of eyes on a plan that you've already made, come find me. My website is www.bigbuttsnolies.com. Everything I offer lives there. I went through this, I know this industry, and ultimately, I'm on your side. That's the promise. Join me for episode 2. We are going to talk about what actually happens to your body in these procedures, what the real risks are, and specifically what goes wrong when it goes wrong. It's the episode I wish someone had given me before my own surgery. I'll see you there.